This Premier League outright picks edition of the Premier League Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog. Get up to a $1,000 deposit match when you sign up at underdogfantasy.com, promo code PLGP. Welcome, everybody, to the Premier League Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. My name is Malcolm Bamford, coming to you from Newcastle upon Tyne in the northeast of England. Today is Monday, August the 4th. We are here to have a look around the Premier League. We can stop pretending we give a shit about Swiss women or people from Stenhousemuir or China or Norway or Crawley, or even Wrexham. We're going to have a look at some Premier League outright markets, promotion, relegation, players, all kinds of stuff with looking very good, Barry. I don't know if you've cleaned your camera or you're actually in half decent nick, but you look quite you look fresh as a daisy there. So are you all right?
Funnily enough, I just tuned in and thought, I'm looking quite fresh tonight. Like I was thinking, yeah, I'm looking quite sharp.
New man, Barry.
Yeah.
Tell us about you. What's going on?
Not a lot, really. Well, actually, I had quite a busy weekend. I've been away to Wales for, well, the usual reasons, isn't it? Daughter wanted to go to a concert. So we went down to Cardiff to the Principality Stadium to see Catfish and the Bottlemen, along with the DMAs and Travis. Had a really good night. Actually, Catfish and the Bottlemen were brilliant, absolutely brilliant live band. Really enjoyed that. And because we're traveling all the way, I mean, 4-hour trek on Friday afternoon it was to get down there. It was a bit of an effort. So we looked for hotels. Hotels in Cardiff for the night were absolutely extortionate. So we ventured a little bit out. We thought we'll stop over on Friday night somewhere in South Wales and then spend a day down there on Saturday doing something, make a bit more of a weekend of it. So we stayed in Cwmbran, I think is how you say it. Bit of a random one. I got up on the Saturday and realised I was 10 minutes away from Rodney Parade, where Notts County were playing on the Saturday afternoon. So I was tempted. I was very tempted because it was literally 10 minutes from where the hotel was. But given that I was with the family, it would have been a little bit harsh to say, you go off and do something. To be fair, Chloe was quite keen. She said she would have went along and watched Notts County, but we didn't. I'm glad we didn't in the end because actually the game was delayed by an hour.
Yeah, that was they had 2 ambulances on the pitch, didn't they?
Yeah. So yeah, had I have took everybody and then had to sit, well, they got everyone got evacuated from the stadium for an hour. So that would have been a bit of a nightmare. But yeah, so Cwmbran, we visited Barry, a little coastal town just past Cardiff. Had a bit of time there. And then we went up to Aberdare, up in the Brecon Beacons. And the only reason to go up towards Aberdare is because there is a fish and chip shop there called Penaluna's Fish and Chips.
Oh, shit, yes.
I've been before. So we ventured up all the way up to there for a fish and chips. And went and sat on a mountain up in the hills in the Brecon Beacons, overlooking a lovely scenery, overlooking this big, nice reservoir, loads of sheep running around. Eating our fish and chips. Yeah, that was quite a day. Lovely place, Wales. Like just driving through Wales, it's really scenic. Everywhere you go, you're either on a massive hill looking down, or you're really low with massive hills
bottom of a hill looking up.
Like there's just everywhere. Like you just be driving through this little town, and behind all the houses, there's just a mountain, like just an absolute beast of a hill. So it is really picturesque, a nice part of the world. I've been a couple of times now, and I do think it's underrated. So I would somewhere I would spend a bit more time, to be honest. But yeah, Cwmbran, Barry, Aberdare, Cardiff, done a right old tour of South Wales.
It sounds like it, Baz. Barry, with a beautiful explanation of how hills work there for everybody, if you weren't sure. Andy must be beside himself. Andy was second in the chat tonight. This is the most Wales talk there's ever been on any podcast. Absolutely stunning stuff. Well done, Andy. Be delighted with that. Andy followed Joe Dollar into the chat, who continues his one-man mission to needle me. He was just in the MLB show 5 minutes ago, trying to needle me as well. We're not buying it, Joe. Bob D is in Aruba, washing his money. Courtney and Patrick are here. I'm going to mention them two in a moment. Callum's having a party. James Maffia's here. Fatty Merris, welcome, Fatty. Who else? Cree's joined us as well. Holy shit. Busy tonight, isn't it? That's good. Yeah, you can tell the Premier League's coming. I wanted to mention Courtney and Patrick because they went to watch Manchester United last night, Barry. They went to Summer Series, sent us some lovely photos of them holding the, I'm guessing, pretend Premier League trophy. And obviously, I joked that was the nearest that one of their lot would get to the Premier League trophy. I watched a bit of that game, actually. It was football. So I just watched it and it was all right. Man United is still shite, but we'll get to that in a little while. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. I went on my little work trip last week, didn't I, Baz? I went to Sheffield on Wednesday. Well, I mean, what a strange thing to have happened. So I went to Sheffield on Wednesday. Once again, it was not the Playboy Bunnies annual summer ball, Barry. I keep missing that booking. This was a power tool company called Gripple. I don't know if you're aware of Gripple. There might be any real boys out there better than me who know what Gripple are. But as I got there, the bloke was showing us and he went, I'll give us 2 minutes. He said, there's this thing going upstairs. That's Steve Bracknell's here. I was like, what? And my boring mate, Matt, who I've talked about before on the show, knows nothing about football, sport, anything. He had no idea. And I was like, Steve Bracknell. And I couldn't think of a more perfect person to do like a little ident for the show. If you could have chosen anyone, it would have been him, like football and silliness. He just covered all the bases. So I hung around Barry like a small meerkat and he went and did his thing. So what's happened was, they haven't announced this yet. And I don't think I'm supposed to. This is all top secret industrial espionage stuff. Steve Bracknell is the assistant manager of the fictional Royal Oak FC. And what actually is going on is Gripple are sponsoring the Royal Oak FC kit. So that's what he was there for the kit launch. But this isn't all going to be announced to the press for about 3 weeks. So I've completely fucked that. I don't think there's a betting angle on it, but it's one of those things. So every time you see Steve Bracknell and the Royal Oak FC doing their thing, they're going to have Gripple sponsored on their tops. So that's what they were for. Anyway, I hung around like a small meerkat, chased him across the car park and said, Steve, can you do this thing for me and my mate Baz? We've got a daft podcast. He didn't want to use the word gambling, which is fine. We've had that with minor celebrities before. I get it. And he did us 2 little idents. The first one I cocked up. The first one was the best one, and I missed the start of it on the video, which was poor. And then the second one was all right. So yes, Steve Bracknell did us a little shout out. I think, Baz, you're going to try and get the audio on here to use as a little drop, but that was all right. And then on Thursday...
Not sure how many of our Americans would appreciate Steve Bracknell. I know it's Sean, one of our leaders, put a message asking if he could have a translator because he just didn't have a clue what was going on with it. But I think he's quite popular in the UK and he's a bit of a social media, bit of a character, isn't he?
Yeah, Sean said he made out the word bucket. That was the only word he made out of Steve's entire 3-sentence thing because it was Bob the Bucket was there with him. So Sean was struggling a bit with that. So if you get a chance to look at that. And then on the Thursday, we drove the 90,000 miles to Norfolk. And we're on the RAF base, Baz, RAF Marham, which is the proper, real deal Top Gun shit. We had to get signed in. They checked the underside of the van for bombs and all sorts of shenanigans. And there's just F-16 fighters just lolling about the place. And we were doing the summer ball for the junior ranks, Barry. It was just children, man. Honestly, kids, 15, they look 14, 15, obviously all 19, 20-year-old, making the way of life. And I enjoyed it a lot. It was a proper experience. Good crack. Absolute lunatics, a lot of them.
Tell you what, they know how to put an event on. I've got a friend who who's in the RAF. I remember getting invited to the officers. I remember getting invited to the officers' ball at RAF Cottesmore many, many years ago.
Yeah.
And Christ, they threw out all the stops. Like, I mean, it
Yeah.
started at 6 o'clock at night and it finished with a champagne breakfast at 8 o'clock the next morning. And it went on. They had dodgem cars, fairground rides, fun casinos, arcades, absolutely everything. Like, all, you know, all expenses paid. It was a cracking night. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah, well, that was it. That was me. I was part of where the expenses were paid to. But no, it was good fun. I enjoyed it. I considered joining up, Barry, the RAF. You know me. I don't think there's many more people you would say would be a natural born military man like me, Barry. But I asked the bloke what time you have to get up, and you have to get up quite early. So that was it. I thought, fuck that. I'm not 10. If like 10 o'clock, I'll get up. But apparently, all the planes have gone by 10 o'clock in the morning. So that put a stop to that. And I think that's it. Football of the weekend. I quite enjoyed watching. What did I watch? I watched everything. I watched Luton Wimbledon. My first YouTube short got usurped. It was a push, but just getting usurped by an 85th minute own goal in a 1-0 was just, football's back. I'm getting chinned by terrible matches already. Best bet of the weekend won on Saturday, which was Chesterfield. Somehow Bristol Rovers didn't win. And I think that was about it. I watched a little bit of Hearts and Aberdeen tonight. Aberdeen, low quality strikers. But that was a decent game as well. Your YouTube short won though, Baz, I think. But did you haven't caught any games, have you?
No, not so much. I was quite busy. I watched the Newcastle Spurs game. Was the only thing I got involved in. But yeah, really, I'm getting the feeling for it now. If I was at home on Saturday, I would have watched a load of the non-league stuff because it was just exciting to have some proper games back on. Like, so yeah, looking forward to this weekend. Hopefully, being able to digest a lot of it, get stuck into the Championship.
Yeah. So the plan is we'll go through the Prem tonight. We will do Championship picks on Thursday, and then we'll do the £1 million show next Monday before we do the actual pick show as well. We've been racking our brain trying to think of a contest everyone can get involved in. And what makes it tricky is getting geolocated out because our audience is pretty much split across the Atlantic Ocean here. But I have found one. We just need to, I'm going to get Barry to check that it's not dog shit. And it's just the predictions. You submit your 10 scores every week and this site will keep track. But most importantly, we can access it and our Canadian and American listeners can access it. So we can all have a big old prediction league. Sean said he'll put out monthly and season-long gift vouchers for the merch store. So once Baz has given that the green light, I'll start tweeting it out. We'll start posting it. We'll start sending it out. And we've got the next 3 shows to get it out. So hopefully a lot of us can get in there and can have a go at that as well. I'm trying to think if there is any more housekeeping. No, I am done for the housekeeping, Baz. Before we get
one piece. I've got one piece.
Hit me.
And I'll keep banging this drum for the next few weeks because now's the time where people need to push us, comment, like, all of that sort of stuff. Because now's the time where people will start finding us. We've seen the subscribers creeping up this week. A lot of numbers on the shorts and stuff. So now's the time where people are looking around. So those people who are regulars, or if you're new, drop us a comment on Spotify, YouTube. Give us the thumbs up on YouTube. Drop us your 5-star reviews on Spotify. If you haven't done it for a while, do it again now because it lets you after so long. And the same with Apple. If you're listening on Apple, just drop us a quick review because it all helps try and get us into the ears of more people. And now is the time to try and push that. So, go do all those things.
This is the time that people will be looking for Premier League gambling podcasts over the next 10 days. So every button you click sends them in our direction. Yes, very good, Barry. Well remembered. Okay, we'll crack on. I'm going to mention the 32 NFL team previews and the phrase that pays. Each one of them gives out a 32-word phrase. Submit the phrase for a chance to win a $1,000 circa future. I listened to the Pittsburgh Steelers one with Bowser. Are you aware of Bowser, Barry? You've seen him, haven't you, in pictures and stuff?
I know of him, yeah.
How old would you say Bowser was?
40.
What? Oh, fucking hell. He looks about 75. He is about 40, but holy shit, he must have had a long paper round, like. And I don't think he'd mind you telling. I was astonished. I thought Bowser was the oldest person on the network by a mile. I was quite happy with that, but it turns out he's considerably younger than me. which has wounded me slightly. Underdog Best Ball Mania is happening all summer long. $15 million in prizes, including $2 million to first place. No arguments about trades, no waiver wire. Best Ball is the best way to play fantasy football. Underdog is a great place to play Pick'em, wherever you can win up to 500 times your entry. Our code is PLGP to claim a special pick and first-time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus credits. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code PLGP. And we're brought to you by MyBookie.ag, your place to bet on every sport, including the MLB, WNBA, golf, and, of course, football futures. MyBookie accepts customers from tons of locations and accepts crypto. Head to MyBookie.ag, promo code PLGP for a 100% deposit match up to $1,000. T's and C's apply. That's MyBookie.ag, promo code PLGP. And Chelsea has joined us, supporter of the best team in the world, Club World Cup champions. Right, I don't know what order we're going to do this in, Baz, because I've broken it down into sections, sort of promotion. We're going to tackle all the markets, but I think you might have tackled it market by market, and I tackled it bracket by bracket. But it makes no difference. So we'll start with the top outright to win the Premier League. Let me get these odds up here. Liverpool are going off favourites at 7-4 plus 175. Arsenal 9-4 plus 225. Man City 100-30. And then it's Chelsea 9-1, 28-1. Bar, which for some reason brings in Manchester United. I'd found it really hard to split the top three. I don't think there's much between them at all. You can make a case for all three. You can make a case to fade all three. So at that point, I'll take the outsiders of the three because I couldn't really split them. 100-30 for Man City would be my pick here outright. Liverpool going into Arne Slot's second season. I just can't get my head around really what happened last year, because in sort of November, it was all to play for. And then I don't know what happened. Then in the blink of an eye, it was gone. They were like fucking 15 points clear by mid-January. And it was non-competitive after that. And it was just really head-scratching. The middle third of the season, they were just handed a big old soft lead. And it's hard to put your finger on what happened. Now, they've taken a risk in losing a couple of players. Obviously, Trent's gone. Looks like Nunes is away. Diaz is away. I just don't think that they're 1.5 bookies points better than Manchester City. So Liverpool 7-4, Man City 100-30. I don't think that disparity is right. Obviously, Arsenal are sandwiched in the middle. Arsenal would be my second choice here. They seem more likely to be able to put it all together. There's a lot hinging on Gorkaes. The one thing all Arsenal fans have told us for a couple of years is that, well, they need to stop being stitched up by the referees every 20 minutes, but they also need a striker. And they've got the striker. The only thing is he a 20-goal a season man? There's a lot of question marks above him. He's done it for Coventry City, and he's done it in the Portuguese league. Had some flashes, showed some flashes in the Champions League. We know that. But again, at the prices, prefer Manchester City. I have got one Arsenal pick that I like, actually, and it's the points total for Arsenal. I like over 78 points, which is even money. 3 years ago, they accumulated 84. 2 years ago, they accumulated 89. And then last year was 74. So looking the line here at 78, I do think they left a few out there last year in the middle part of the season, where I'm not really sure what happened. To get back to somewhere between 84 and 89 points, I think is perfectly reasonable. So I'll take Arsenal to over 78 points. Man City, strong second half of the league. They looked lively in the Club World Cup until they didn't. The problem, the case against them is that problems persist at the back. Have they addressed any of that? But they've showed some improvement. They spent a lot of money in December or over the winter rather than this window that's open at the moment. And I think they can make a run. So I'll take City 100 to 30, and I'll take Arsenal over 78 points at even money, but
Yeah, I mean, like you, I think hard to split, and obviously the bookies found it hard to split, and I've done the same. Looked at the top three because it's really difficult to see anyone else pushing them, and for the title to come anywhere outside of that would be a massive surprise. There's a few questions over all of them, isn't there? Man City, will they recover from where they were last season, or is their regression a bit more long term? The catalyst for the drop off last year was undoubtedly the injury to Rodri. So will his return be enough to see them pushing for the title again? I think they'll be closer, but they still feel a little bit like a club in transition at the minute. Lots of transfer activity in the last couple of windows. Kevin De Bruyne's now gone, and I know his levels have dropped and all of that, but he's still a sort of big character to leave the dressing room. So I didn't quite get to Man City as a pick for the title. I did think they'd be second favourites, though. I thought they'd be ahead of Arsenal in the betting, if I'm honest. So that caught me out a little. Arsenal at 94 didn't appeal to me. I mean, you've talked about those points, 80 or 84, 89, and I actually called it last year. I thought they'd peaked with that 80-odd points. I think they had their chances to win the title, and unlucky not to with those sort of points totals. And then it was quite a big drop-off. You're right, I would expect them to get back in. I don't mind your pick at all of them getting up to sort of 78, maybe push for 80, but I don't think that's going to be enough for them to win the league. So I didn't fancy Arsenal. I mean, you mentioned they've got a striker there. Has to be an improvement on what they had. Zubamendi's come in as well and fills the void left by the alleged rapist Thomas Partey. You can call him an alleged rapist now, Malcolm. You don't have to call him the unnamed man, 28-year-old from North London. Anyway, he's signing for Valencia. Spanish clubs don't care about any of that sort of stuff, do they? The fact he's up on a rape charge doesn't bother them. Crack on. So it turns out he's going over there. So Zubamendi will come in and fill in for Partey. Partey was a big player for Arsenal as well last season. So will be a miss in that respect. So I thought Liverpool at 7-4 looked fair. I'll be honest, it'll look a great price if they do pick up Isak, which we don't talk about just yet. But they have went all out this summer to try and cement their place at the top. They've broke their transfer record with Wirtz. They're looking to break it again with Isak. Ekitike is coming in for 80, 90 million. So I think, long gone are the days where poor old Jurgen Klopp couldn't compete financially with the likes of Newcastle United because Liverpool had a ceiling that nobody else had. That argument's well gone now. But again, with Liverpool, the thing is, it's a lot of change, isn't it? Salah and Gakpo look to be the only ones in terms of the attackers who will be there. So it is a lot of change, a lot of new players coming in. But I did think Liverpool looked the one I would probably want to take just because of how comfortably they won it last year and how well they've strengthened. Really, really good calibre of signings. But the pick for me, actually, from this sort of bracket of teams would be Man City to finish in the top two, because I do fancy Man City to finish above Arsenal. You're getting 11 to 10 for them to finish top two here. City had an awful season by their standards last year. They still only finished 3 points behind Arsenal, and I think they can bridge that gap. So whether they win the league, as you've taken them, I don't really care, but they'll finish in the top two, Man City. So my main pick at the top end would be City at 11 to 10 to finish in the top two.
I looked at it, Baz, but I just thought I'd be a little bit brave. I got a couple of new faces in the chat causing chaos tonight. Stu Mack, welcome, Stu. Stu's getting stuck into Man United, which means he is very welcome here. And BM has joined us as well. BM, welcome along. Nice to have you. The next team I want to talk about was Chelsea, just because they're like in a bracket on their own. We just mentioned the odds there that Chelsea are 9-1, so sort of 3 times the price of the top 3. But then no one near the teams ranked 5th, 6th, etc. And it's hard to know what to do with them because it does make them hard to bet because they're too short for top 4, top 5, top 6, stuff like that. They are, in like I say, in a little mini league, according to the books, in a little mini league of their own here. Obviously, they won the Club World Cup. To me, they look like the kingmakers. Chelsea, they're good at a lot of what Chelsea do. Winning and losing against the good teams is going to have an awful big effect on what happens. They do need a lot of things to go their way, Chelsea. I think they're still a young team. They're still bringing in fucking more players every day, brought some more players in. If things go their way, they'll be fine. And then there'll be the odd day when things don't go their way. And we've seen it before with a little bit of lack of discipline in terms of tactical discipline as well as actual, I'm going to get sent off for doing something stupid discipline. Then I think there's a bit of a questionable temperament there. I did find a pick on them, though, and that was, well, there's two picks. I actually prefer the second one. They're 2-1 to win a major trophy, which is one of the four. So the League, FA Cup, League Cup, and the Champions League will be in. Now, they've demonstrated that skill over the last couple of years, and it is a skill. They've been able to get home in the Conference League, which wasn't that tricky, but then also in the Club World Cup as well. But the bet I like slightly more because they are in the Champions League this time. That makes it harder. I don't think they'll win the league. They're 8-1 for the FA Cup, and they're 8-1 to win the League Cup. So if you backed them both, you get 7-2. If you have a tenner at 8 on both of them, you'll win 90 quid back. So 20 at 7-2. And I think, like I say, Chelsea have displayed that skill. And if they just get a couple of soft home draws in the League Cup, they're going to be there or thereabouts. So I didn't mind Chelsea to pick up a trophy, Baz.
Yeah, so that ties in nicely with where I moved on. So my next sort of section I looked at was the best of the rest. After you look at the top three, then looking at the top six market. So the next in the betting, you had Chelsea, Newcastle, Man United, Villa, Spurs, Brighton, Forest. There's at least one team there that doesn't belong in that group in terms of top six betting. Man United odds on to be top six, Malcolm. Any thoughts on that? 10-11 Man United, top six.
Every price on Man United to do something good is the worst fucking price you've ever seen. If that is the worst 28, I don't mind a 28-1 shot. Fill your boots. That is a terrible 28-1 shot. It's a 66-1 shot. It's not even that. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's the letters that are written next to the price. It's got nothing to do with their ability at all. I'm not getting annoyed about it, really. I should laugh about it. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I just looked at the list for the top six and couldn't believe Man United were that high. I don't see why they're ahead of Villa, Brighton, even Forest. Spurs, I think Spurs will improve, probably more than Man United under Thomas Frank. I just don't see that Mbeumo and Cunha are enough to lift them 10 places in the league they would need from last season, or to find the extra 25 points they would have needed to get to sixth. They were miles off it last year. I couldn't put any money on Man United for top six. Newcastle, I would swerve at the moment, currently, just to see who was actually at the club come kick-off. There's the uncertainty around Isak, but also the uncertainty about who's going to come in, because we've tried for multiple players and failed. More reports tonight about Sesko potentially getting closer. I'll believe it when he signs on the dotted line. I've got no confidence in anything at the minute. So it's just too much uncertainty around Newcastle. And even if Isak ends up staying, will he be in the right frame of mind to start? Will Eddie Howe welcome him straight back into the fold? I'm still not convinced he will stay. But yeah, we might get Sesko, we might not. We might get Wissa, we might not. We might pick up a centre half. Just too much uncertainty. So it's a wait and see for Newcastle. Chelsea fourth in the betting, I think, makes sense, given how well they finished the season. Despite they had the drop off from Palmer as well, didn't finish the season as strong, but they still got the results without him necessarily firing. They've been busy in the market. Obviously, they've now signed 49 players in the last 4 years. But yeah, I'd definitely rather be on Chelsea top four than Newcastle at this stage. But 8-13 Chelsea top four is a price that wouldn't appeal. Far too short for me. So I looked at the top six market, which I thought might bring a more appealing pick. I said I don't like Man United for the top six. So who pips them? You've got Villa at 6-4, Spurs at 13-8. And I do think Spurs will improve in terms of points from last season. I mean, they pretty much phoned it in for the last part of the season. Where had they tried, they might have come out with a slightly higher point total. I just think Thomas Frank is a much better manager than Ange Postecoglou. He'll get them going. Son's going to leave. I think he's been less influential in the last year or two anyway. Kudus and Polinia look like good additions. And if they can keep Solanke fit, I think that's the key. They're going to need to keep Solanke fit because he will get goals for them if they can get him out there. I can see them taking a big step forward, certainly to finish above Man United. But then it's can they pip Villa or Newcastle to take the top 6. And I wasn't sure. At a similar price, Spurs and Villa are almost a match in terms of the top 6. And I just thought Villa looked the better of the two. 28 points ahead of Spurs they were. So even if Spurs did throw away a few points at the end, it's still a massive, massive gap to overturn for Spurs to finish ahead of Villa. So I like Villa to finish in the top 6 again. Finished 6th last year. 6-4 for Villa to finish in the top 6. But I mean, if you can find the opposite side of that Man United market, 10-11 for Man United to finish in the top 6. If you can find 10-11 for them to finish out of the top 6, or if you can lay it on one of the exchanges, then that's got to be the pick. I mean, if you're getting anywhere near evens for Man U to finish out of that top 6, I would be all over that.
Yeah, I don't think Man United can be as bad. And Mbeumo is a good player and a good professional. Cunha's decent, got a questionable attitude. The rest of it's exactly the same. I don't trust the manager. Even last night, and I don't put any stock in results of pre-season friendlies, but just last night, passing the eye test, there's just weird shit going on. It just looks wrong. Bruno Fernandes was at fault for the first goal, just out of position, playing in the wrong position. Don't understand that. And then by the second goal, he was trying to end fucking Njai's career on the halfway line. Like, it's horrible. Trying to rake him down the back of the Achilles. That's what started the scrap that Courtney and Patrick were just talking about in that game. I've no idea what he's thinking. Like, it was just odd. So the only bet, if you want to find the Man United bet, is a potential fade. And I found a couple. The value isn't as good as it was. We took them 8-1 last year to finish in the bottom half, Baz. Unbelievable bet. 100-30 this year isn't quite as appealing. I like Man United to finish below Fulham at 100-30 plus 333. Newcastle 40-1. The main saga is still going. Any speculation here is completely futile. Champions League, hopefully, is fun and doesn't have the detrimental effect it had 2 years ago. Thing to remember with Newcastle, though, Baz, as much as all this noise is around the centre forward, we've still got an incredible coach and we've still got a load of good players. You can't forget that. Once you sit back away from the noise and remember Hall and Livramento as your two fullbacks, we're going to be England's two fullbacks for the next 10 years. In that midfield, the most terrifying midfield in the Premier League, of Tonali, Bruno, and Joe Linton. And then you've got Botman, and you've got Elanga, and Gordon, and Barnes, and Murphy. There's a lot to be positive about. It is hard to find a bet on Newcastle. 1-2 for the top 6 is too short. 9-10 for the top 5 is too short. 2-1 the top 4 just isn't appealing. Villa, I can't confidently predict definite improvement. I can't confidently predict definite regression. Over 59 points isn't a bad shout on Aston Villa. But that's about it. And then the other team you mentioned there, Barry, is Tottenham. I think the improvement is implied because they absolutely phoned in the second half of the season. They gave up, which was insane. I've never seen it happen before. The question is, how much of them can you give that back? You can't give them it all back. Because when they did try, they were dog shit as well. The manager is okay. They've lost Son. They've lost Maddison yesterday, which was funny. It just all seems very, very Spursy. The signings, Palini, Etel, Kudus, you just mentioned, they're all right. They'll have the odd good game. They'll have 2 average games to the one good one. The prices don't appeal because, like Man United, they're based on the team name rather than any ability they've got. Therefore, you need to find a fade again. That middle of the table is really congested, Baz. Tottenham were ranked 8th best in the bookies, but I think that's generous. And if they are ranked 8th, it doesn't leave much leeway for a top half finish. They've only got to drop 3 or 4 points, and they're going to finish in the bottom half at 3-1. So I think a bottom half finish for Tottenham at 3-1 is decent value. Okay, we'll move on, Baz, into the bottom half of the table. Let me tell you about the world's greatest sports book. Circa Las Vegas is hosting the world's biggest pro football contest, Circa Million, Circa Survivor, and Circa Grandissimo, with over $21 million in guaranteed prizes. You can't call yourself a true DGen if you're not competing in all the Circa football contests. You get 15% off a stay at the Circa with the promo code SGP15. And use our proxy too. if you're playing remotely. Footballcontest.com, use the promo code SGP, gets you $50 off your proxy fees. And Rhythm continues to crush it with Power Trends, which is essentially the best of the best, what their house model has to offer. Power Trends are updated daily and exclusive to Rhythm. No touts, no noise, just clean data-backed bets. WNBA Power Trends are cooking 24%. Power Trends are hitting about 70% fading players in the NBA as well. Get your 7-day free trial at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. So we move into what I've called the glob, Barry, because this is just all these identical teams. So Forest slightly different because they play differently, but Forest, Brighton, Palace, Bournemouth, Fulham, they're all going to be safe. They're all going to be in that zone of teams that just don't give a shit anymore. I went on a rant about it most weeks, didn't I? Last season, of teams used to go away from home and park the bus and try and get beat 2-0. These lot don't. They win one, lose one, draw one, and they don't give a shit about the consequences. And that's what we're dealing with here. So it is hard to separate them. I think Forest will be fine. Brighton have lost a few, but will undoubtedly have a load more that they've just made in the garage, and they'll just bring them out and they'll all be great. There'll be some little Iranian ones, and there's a big Greek fella up front, and they'll have a whole load of new ones with lovely hair, and they'll be fine. Palace need a better start because they were terrible to start with, finished like a train, won the cup, do have European football for the first time to distract them. Bournemouth, who fucking cares? No one gives a shit what they do. Fulham, now I told you I was keen when we talked about this a little while ago. They've had the least upheaval of the club, Barry. Fulham have stayed where they are in that club of teams, and they're actually ranked lowest by the books of all of those teams. They're actually getting the same handicap start as Everton, which I think is widely disrespectful. So I have mentioned this before. Fulham on the handicap plus 33. I think Fulham can easily get up to 55, 56 points. Add the 33 into there, they're going to be live at 90. That's 15-1. And they're 12-5 plus 240 to finish in the top half. But the thing with that is, if they finish top half, they'll win the handicap. So you might as well just take the 15-1. Over 48 points for Fulham is a fucking great bet. 6-5 plus 120 for over 48 Fulham points. Baz, in the club?
Yeah, I mean, I've looked at the top half betting, and there was one team stood out for me. It was Forest, 5-4 plus money to finish in the top half. I mean, you'll expect some regression from Forest, but I didn't have them down as finishing out of the top 10. So 5-4 Forest appeals to me. I think 9th or 10th for Forest is perfectly achievable. They'll still be hard to beat at the City Ground. You expect them to still be strong defensively. Not much has changed there. They've already replaced Ilanga with Ndoye from Milan. They've added Igor Jesus, the Brazilian. I think it was at Palmeiras, wasn't he, in the Club World Cup? So they've added to their attacking options as well. So I'm just not sure why Forest are expected to drop quite as much as the bookies have got them dropping.
That Gibbs White thing was huge for them as well.
Absolutely.
They roll out Gibbs White and Elliot Anderson in the middle of the park. Murillo and the big Slavic fella at the back. Good player. Like, not a lot of what they did last season wasn't a fluke, Barry. And that core is still there.
Yeah, as I say, I wouldn't be taking this pick if Gibbs White had left. If they'd lost Ilanga and Gibbs White in that 1 week, that would have been a massive blow for them. But otherwise, they've lost Ilanga, and as I say, they've made attacking signings to cover for that. I think they'll be okay. So I like Forest at 5-4. Interesting you mentioned Fulham and Everton being the same on the handicap, because when we get to the relegation zone in a bit, that stood out to me. Everton are the same price to be relegated as teams like Fulham and Palace. Which I thought was a little bit odd. I think Everton are far worse than both of those teams.
Sorry, Baz. I was chatting to Serial in the comments. Serial, welcome along. Serial, I listened to the Cowboys NFL preview with Serial on. Good job, Serial. Loved it. Always a highlight of the year listening to you. You have to go toe to toe with Sean and Ryan on that, because it's generally fuck the Cowboys. But you did your bit, and I very much enjoyed it. He was asking if Crystal Palace can keep up the late season form. I think they can, like the manager. Crucially, though, I think Eze is their talisman. It was Zaha for a while, wasn't it? We used to talk about it a lot. So we'll see if they can hold on to Eze. There's another little bracket of 4 teams here after that. Everton, West Ham, Brentford and Wolves. Everton will be fine. I watched them on the last day of the season win 1-0 at St James's Park and very nearly ruin our our Champions League party. And they're going to do that enough times. They've got the framework without being in any way spectacular or even good to pick up about 43 points. They've got enough clean sheets and then they've got all those big, ugly defenders. Much rests on Ilman and Jai for them. They've signed this geezer, Barry. A lot of Barry chat tonight. We've had Barry in Wales. Now we've got Barry. So Everton know how to accumulate points. But I do love an Everton pick here, Baz. And it's Njai to be the Everton top scorer at 3-1. He's not going to score loads. 9 in 33 last year. He's on penalties. That pro rata, that's probably enough. I mean, how many goals? Everton top scorer is not going to be on 14, 15. So it's either this lump, what's his name? Tierno's Barry, 22-year-old Frenchman, signed from Villarreal. He scored 11 in 35 last year. Step up to the Premier League in his first season. He's just a kid. He's about 8 to 11 with Njai at 3-1. I think it's a mismatch. So I'll take Njai at 3-1 to be the top Everton scorer. West Ham, unimpressed. There's enough bad teams in the league to keep them up. But other than that, it's going to be the same old shit with them. Bowen Paquetá will win them the odd game. But there's still a huge disconnect there between the club and the fans. They don't like the new stadium, the new owner. Just the Callum Wilson signing. If that was this, you just think, oh, fuck off, will you? There's no upside to West Ham at all. I love a bet, though. And this is another top scorer bet, and it's Fulkrug. Nicholas Fulkrug. He's fit, is the key to this. Scored yesterday against Bournemouth in that summer series. The presence of Bowen at 1-2 in this market is what makes 5-1 Fulkrug live. He had 12 and 29 in his last year at Dortmund. He scored 14 and 24 for the German national team. There's no way those prices are right. Fulkrug will start every week for them. If he stays fit, 5-1 is a gigantic price. Brentford face some problems. They lost some Boomo. Norgard's gone. Wissa has a question mark. 130 to be relegated, but I still think they've got enough to stay up. They've got a little bit of wherewithal. I like Shara. I've got no bet for Brentford. And I think Wolves will be all right. They'd have lost Cunha, but they finished the season well. I like the manager. They've got a centre forward, which is important in this league, in Jorgen Strand Larsen. And I like the new signing, John Arias. I watched him in the Club World Cup. He was a load of fun. Wolves to finish above Brentford at 5-6 is a good bet. And Wolves to finish above West Ham at 11-10. Plus 110 is a bet there. I like on Wolves, Baz.
Yeah, I mean, I'm down into the relegation candidates for most of my stuff next. So I didn't really pick up. I mean, I cover some of those you've mentioned because some of them sort of are on the fringes of that relegation stuff anyway. I thought, so I'm going to crack on with relegation because I'm assuming you've got some of that to come up anyway. I mean, the question around relegation is whether any of these teams who've been promoted can make a fight of staying up for the first time in 3 years, because we've just had back-to-back 3 ups, 3 downs. Burnley and Sunderland both really short prices, 1-3 and 2-5, respectively, to go down. Leeds are the most likely to stay up according to the books. I think they're around 5-4 to stay up. So it's then who's going to drop if not those 3? And it's difficult to find someone. So you've mentioned Wolves. I actually said a few weeks ago, I thought Wolves on the handicap was one I might fancy. Cunha's gone, but to be fair, Cunha became a bit more of a distraction than anything for large parts of last season. Anyway, I think Wolves will be okay. Brentford's the big question mark, isn't it? I mean, they've lost Mbeumo, which is massive. Vissa's down tools, doesn't want to play anymore. And arguably, even bigger than that, is the fact they've lost Thomas Frank. Is a big loss because he got more out of that team than many people would have done. So I do think Brentford are definitely vulnerable, and it's a sort of easy conclusion to make just because of what's gone on there. But 3-1 Brentford could potentially appeal. But you're getting 100-30 again here for the bottom three to be the promoted sides. And I think there's every chance you get a good run for your money again there. So at the relegation end, as I say, I was a little tempted with Everton, 7-1 for Everton. And I mentioned they are the same price as Fulham and Palace. Whilst you were talking, actually, I was looking at Fulham to finish higher than Everton, 5-6. You like Fulham for a top half finish. I think Fulham at around evens to finish above Everton looks a great price in that area. But I'm going to take the bottom three to be the promoted teams again at 100-30. I think they're going to. Burnley will definitely struggle. Sunderland have done a lot of business, but we saw Ipswich do the same last year. Ipswich went and just bought anybody and everybody to make a fist of it, and they didn't make any kind of fight of it at all. I think Sunderland will struggle. And yeah, I think you're taking 100-30. Will Leeds stay up? And they probably won't. So yeah, I think you'll get good value out of the bottom three to be promoted, the promoted teams once again.
Yeah, I'll give you my relegation plays in a minute. Thornsky, Wolves fan, has joined us in the chat. Thoroughly down on Wolves. I'll be honest, I know quite a lot of Wolves fans. I used to live in the West Midlands, Thornsky, for a bit, and they all are, to a man, completely negative, which is fine. I think Wolves will be all right. They can score goals, man. Don't worry, Thornsky. We've got you going okay. Barry, it is that time of night. We are going to have another little game of kickoff. Now, Barry, in play, if this, they're doing the in-game manager interviews. If they interviewed me in a minute, I'd be concerned, Barry, because my cards are shit. I'm going to have to dig in here. I might have to park the bus for a midway through this first half. I'm not in a good position, Barry. If you remember, Barry had a shot on target last time, repelled by Robin. Bravo. Clear to the halfway line, Barry. The ball is in red, A4. What's your next card?
I'm going to go forward 7 and then diagonal left 3.
3, 4, 6, 7. Oh, shit. That's another shot on target here, Barry, from you. That's very good. I'm going to mark. Right. I haven't got a goalkeeper, Barry, but what I have got, I'm going to play this corner card. So my goalkeeper has parried it out for a corner, which is exciting. So all that we do here now, Barry, I have to cut the deck, and if there's it was a red corner I'm playing, by the way. You can see that.
Yeah.
If there is a red flag in the corner of the card, you've scored a goal, Barry. Anything else and you haven't. All right. So I'll hold them. I'm going to cut them and hold them up. You want a little red flag in the corner, Barry, for 1-0. That's the goalie's hand. You fucked it. That's the goalie's hand.
Yeah, you dropped the card on the floor.
I did drop one card. It was that one, and it's also a red hand. So anyway, no goal. Corner comes in, repelled, Barry, repelled by me. So I will take a goal kick, Barry, on the next go. There you go. Ball is with me in my own 6-yard box. Well played, everybody. More to come next week. Relegation-wise, then. Last season's stats on how much improvement these teams are required. Leicester were 13 points behind Spurs. Ipswich were 16 points. Southampton were 28 points. It's a big fucking leap in it, Baz. Can they bridge the gap? Or is there a team going to regress so much that they don't have to bridge the gap? And I do think, like you, it's going to be a struggle. Looking to find a positive angle here, but they're struggling. Are Leeds and Burnley any stronger than Leicester or Ipswich? If you look down Leeds' squad list, I don't know where the 4, 5, 6 players are that are good enough to be able to keep them up. Burnley's hope, and Smudge is not here tonight, Burnley's hope is that they can defend properly, because they conceded 16 goals in their 46 games last year, which is insane. If they can do that, they're going to put themselves in games. Because what last year Ipswich and Southampton didn't do, particularly Leicester as well to a certain extent, was defend properly and give themselves a chance. They were giving away 2-3 goals every week. You can't do it if Burnley can't defend properly. They have lost James Trafford, the goalkeeper, which is a problem. He was a big part of that. Sunderland have got a massive squad of blokes I've never heard of, and also fuck them. They finished 24 points behind Leeds and Burnley, and all of their supporters are backwards as well, which is a problem. Burnley to finish higher than Sunderland to even money, Barry, I didn't mind. All three to go down, I've written down. We got 6-1 last year. Now, it's not 6-1 this year, Barry. It's 100-30, but it's a decent price. And the fact that they're going to be crap, Leeds under 36 points was in equivalent. What was Leicester last year? 25. So our Leeds going to be 14 points better than that. It's a lot of points, isn't it? Under 36 Leeds points is 13-10 plus 130. It's a good price. And Sunderland under 27 points at 11-8. I've worked out Sunderland. I went through Sunderland's fixtures, Barry. 2 points, I've got them. A 0-0 draw with Everton and a 1-1 home draw with Man United. That's a 2 point Sunderland are getting. So if you can find under 3 points for Sunderland, I'd get on that. That's that covered. Player prop, Barry, what did you find you can lead us off?
Yeah, I mean, I looked at the top scorer first, and I found it a little bit hard to get involved at the top of the market, just because, again, where's Isak going to be? Because if he goes to Liverpool at 6-1, I would be tempted with Isak for certain. If he stays at Newcastle and potentially unhappy, then it's a different prospect. So I avoided the top of the market and just thought I would fire a couple of darts at some big prices in the top scorer market and then take it each way. We've done this last year with Isak. Got 16-1 Isak each way, and that came in comfortably, finished in the top 4. So you get a quarter of the odds for the top 4. And the two that I'm going to fire a dart at is Solanke at 25-1. If he stays fit, I can see him pushing 15, 16 goals and getting into the top 4. And the other one is a proper punt. So 100-1 for Igor Jesus for Nottingham Forest. Big hopes for Igor Jesus from Forest. I don't think Chris Wood can do again what he did last year, and I think somebody else will end up leading the line. It will be Jesus. And 100-1 for him to try and make it. I'm pushing for a top 4. Solanke at 25-1, Igor Jesus 100-1 in the top scorer market, but take them each way.
Yeah, I got 2 big old prices each way as well, but Haaland's too short. Salah was rubbish in the second half. Alexander Isak hopefully will be in the C. Gyökeres question marks. Joe Pedro's like next in. Is he not even a centre forward? I don't know what's going on there. My pick, Barry, you mentioned this player earlier on because you said he's one of the 2 strikers left in a team that scores a shit ton of goals. And it's Cody Gakpo at 100-1. No Chiesa, Nunes or Jota. Salah's dropped off. Isak, he's either shite or brilliant. I haven't decided yet. I'll tell you in a couple of weeks which one he is. But each way, 1, 2, 3, 4. Gakpo at 100-1 is a decent bet. And the other one, and I'm not trying to pander to our new guy in the chat here, Thornsky, is Jorgen Strand Larsen. He's 150-1. I think Wolves are going to be all right. And if they're going to be all right, someone's going to score goals. And he's the big centre forward. He's got decent technique. He scored a few goals last season. And I think they're going to be all right. He's a big old price. Like each way we talked about this last year. You don't have to score a shit ton to be live in the each way market. Even if dead heat rules apply. Like if you can squeeze into a tie of 4th on 12 or 13 goals, it's entirely feasible. So I think Strand Larsen at 150-1. I've got a couple more picks in the assists market, Baz. Have you got out?
So have I, yeah. I mean, the assists, what you talk about, you don't need tons of goals to get in the top 4 in the goals market. The same can be said to a greater extent in the assists. Salah walked away with it last year with 18. You then had Jacob Murphy 12, Elanga 11. There was then 5 players in on 10. And then plenty 9s and 8s. So it's a really, really live market. And I think one way you've got to try and look at some decent fancy prices. I say last year there was tons on 10s and 11s. And a lot of those might have been high in the betting last season. So the likes of Saka, Fernandes, Son, Palmer would have been the ones you'd expect. But there was a few outsiders in there. Jacob Murphy wouldn't have been on anyone's radar. Elanga, Damsgaard, Rodgers. Nobody would have had them as contenders, but they were all in there and would have got you a decent shout at an each way place. So if Salah can drop back a bit, then the market opens up. Saka and Salah are head to head. To be fair to Saka, he did miss a few games towards the end of the season. Otherwise, he might have got a bit closer. So I was looking for a player who can improve on what they did last year. Elanga was one I looked at first. He got 11, I think, last year. Just trying to bring up the list now. Elanga had 11. He's 25-1. He's going to be in a more attacking setup at Newcastle. The only concern with Elanga is he might not nail down the starting role from the off. Jacob Murphy's probably got a bit of sort of credit in the bank and might start the season. So looking for like and someone at decent price. I've looked at Ndoye, who was Elanga's replacement for Forest. If he can go in there and do like for like what Elanga did last year, 66-1 Ndoye, I don't mind at all. But the one I really like at a huge price is Ait-Nouri for Man City. From the fullback position. He picked up 7 assists last year for Wolves, playing in one of the lowest scoring teams in the league. We've seen it with City before when they had like Cancelo, and they've had fullbacks before who can go bombing on and get those assists. If he can pick up 7 for Wolves last year, he can double that tally for City, no problem. He's been nipped in a bit. He was 150-1 earlier in the week, Ait-Nouri. You get 100-1 now, but a quarter of the odds for top 4, I think, is a real live pick. So I love Ait-Nouri to make most assists at 100-1. Take it each way, get a quarter of the odds for the top 4.
Ait-Nouri made my shortlist, Barry. Didn't make my final picks because I can't pick everyone, but absolutely jumped off the page. I've got a bit of a short one to start with, a little bit chalky. I will throw a bone to the Liverpool fans. You have to look at Florian Wirtz, top of the chat. Was it BM or Stu Mack were telling us how good he was? 47 assists and 140 Bundesliga goals. That's 1 in 2.97. Salah won last year with 18, but it was an outlier because second in was 12. So if you extrapolate Wirtz's numbers out, that gets you 12.8, which makes him live. 130 is not a bad price there. But the one that jumped out to me was Savinho for Manchester City. His numbers stand up 10 in 29 last year. And he's 25-1. So again, each way 1, 2, 3, 4. If you can, we're expecting Manchester City to be a little bit better. So if we can extrapolate Savinho out to a 32, 34 game season, he can get himself up to 11, 12, 13 as well. So yeah, Florian Wirtz is a little bit chalky, but Savinho 25-1 is a nice each way price, Baz. And holy shit, if we haven't got all that in 59 minutes, Barry, like the incredible professional broadcasters we are. I thought this might go on for literal hours because I've made 5 pages, 5 front and back, 5 pages of notes here, Baz. But yeah, we got on a roll and we did it. Anything else? Have you got any other punts at all?
I mean, I'd just like to point out I've made some good picks. I've put some effort in. That's what I'm saying.
Right. Sorry,
for the first time in months, as you know, I've been a little bit shy on the work front.
Bit of a sore back from carrying your bus since
over the summer, but
the middle of May.
I'm back in the game, is what I'm saying.
Barry,
as you said at the start,
pre-season training.
As you said at the start, you know, I'm looking fresh and rejuvenated, ready for the new season. So yeah, again, good to see some new faces in the chat tonight.
Yes,
don't forget to subscribe, thumbs up, leave comments on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, 5-star reviews, all of that. Just give us a push now. Start of the season's a time to help us out a little bit. But yeah, hopefully start to get people back involved. If anyone wasn't in the chat, start getting in over the next few weeks because Premier League starts next week.
Also, Barry, just a little bit of housekeeping. I know people are watching this very closely. The shot on target was from Alessandro Albino of Team Barry. That's number 7, Alessandro Albino. Right, we'll come back on Thursday, shall we, with some Championship Week 1 picks.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Thanks everyone who came in for the first time. I enjoyed that. It was fun. Not at the expense of the old people. Obviously, we very much value you as well. Thanks, Baz. I think we gave out a shit ton of winners there. Good luck with your picks this midweek, everybody, and we will see you all down the road. Cheers.